Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we crack open company secrets, and today our special report is all about Western New England Bancorp. And let's just say they had a few things to report that might make you raise an eyebrow or two. So stick around because we're about to decode what their latest filing really means for investors and the everyday person. Before we dive in, if you like getting these no-nonsense breakdowns of complex corporate documents, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And hey, we've got a growing community over on Discord where we talk about these things even more. The link is in the description below, so pop in and say hi. Alright, so what we're looking at here is a Form 8K filing from Western New England Bancorp, Incorporated. Think of an 8K as a current report, like a special bulletin from a company to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC they file it when something pretty important happens that the public should know about. This particular filing is primarily about two things. First up, they announced their financial results for the quarter and the 9 months that ended the 30th of September, 2025. This is where we get the nitty-gritty on how well they've been doing financially. Companies put out this information to keep investors informed about their performance, whether it's good or bad. Scrollatum 7.01, Regulation FD Disclosure. Span then, on the same day, the 28th of October 2025, the company also shared an investor presentation. This is something they use when they're meeting with potential investors or analysts, essentially a slideshow of key information and how they see their company performing. It is another piece of the puzzle to understand their strategy and outlook. Western New England Bancorp, or as they're known on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, NEB, is a bank holding company. They operate through their bank Western New England Bank. These filings, especially the financial results, are crucial for anyone thinking about putting their money into the company's stock, which is their common stock traded on the NASDAQ. Now, the real meat and potatoes of these filings, especially this section about results, is usually in the accompanying documents, in this case, the press release and the investor presentation. The filing itself tells us that they released this information, and we've incorporated those documents into this report. Let's talk about the investor presentation. Think of it as their sales pitch. It is where they highlight their successes, explain their business, and try to convince people that investing in them is a smart move. The press release is similar, but often a bit more formal. They're essentially saying, here is how we did financially, and then the presentation shows you the highlights and the story they want you to hear. The company's main product, if you will, is its common stock. This is what people buy and sell on the stock market. When a company reports its financial results, it is really reporting on the health of this underlying business that backs those shares. And the filing wraps up by listing out the specific documents that make up this report. We've got the press release itself, which is Exhibit 99.1, and the investor presentation, Exhibit 99.2. So all the detailed financial numbers and the story behind them were released and filed. Now, let's actually get into what those numbers might be saying. While the filing itself doesn't contain the full financial tables, it directs us to the press release and presentation for that crucial information. Usually these include things like revenue, profit, earnings per S-hair, and how their assets and liabilities are looking. If we were to look at that press release and presentation, we'd be hunting for key figures. For example, how much money did they bring in from interest on loans and other core banking activities? That's their top line revenue. Then, how much did it cost them to operate, pay employees, and manage their branches? That gives us their operating expenses. The difference between the two is their operating income. And of course, the big one for investors is net income or profit. Are they making more money than they're spending? And equally important, how does that profit compare to the previous year or the previous quarter? A big jump in profit is great, but if it comes from selling off assets instead of core operations, it is a different story. They'd also likely be talking about their loan portfolio. Are their loans performing well, or are more people struggling to pay them back? That's measured by things like non-performing loans. For a bank, this is as critical as customer retention is for a retailer. A rising number of bad loans directly eats into their profits and can signal trouble ahead. Wednesday also want to see their capital ratios. This is basically how much cushion they have, how much of their own money they have compared to the money they've lent out. Regulators watch this closely to ensure banks are stable and can withstand economic shocks. A strong capital position means the bank is more resilient. What's particularly interesting in an 8K like this is that it's usually about specific events. In this case, it is the release of financial results and an investor presentation. This isn't a deep dive into every balance sheet line item right here in the 8K itself, but rather a signpost pointing to where those detailed numbers live. The real financial story is in those attached exhibits we're meant to understand that they've told the market how they're doing. So, What could surprise us in those documents? Perhaps they've seen a significant increase in their loan loss provisions, meaning they're setting aside more money just in case borrowers can't pay. That would suggest a more cautious outlook on the economy, or their borrower base, or maybe their net interest margin. The difference between what they earn on loans and what they pay on deposits has squeezed tighter. That is a direct hit to their profitability. On the flip side, they might be reporting strong deposit growth, signaling customer confidence. Looking at the broader picture, Western New England Bancorp operates in the banking sector. This sector is heavily influenced by interest rates, economic growth, and regulatory changes. If interest rates are rising, banks can often charge more for loans, boosting their income. However, if the economy slows down, loan defaults can increase, hurting profits. The fact that they're issuing an 8K today means these results in the presentation are fresh. Investors are looking at this right now to decide if they want to buy, sell, or hold on to their shares. The presentation likely frames these results in the best possible light, but comparing the numbers to industry averages and their own history is key to seeing the real story. It's about deciphering the why behind the numbers. For example, if their revenue is up but their profit is down, we need to understand if their costs have gone up or if they're making riskier loans that are costing them more in the long run. In conclusion, this Form 8K from Western New England Bancorp is a signal that the company has shared crucial financial updates and strategic insights through a press release and an investor presentation. While this filing doesn't contain the raw financial data itself, it serves as the official notification that this information is now available. The real analysis would come from digging into those exhibits, understanding trends in revenue, profitability, loan quality, and capital adequacy. Based on typical filings of this nature, Western New England Bancorp is likely navigating a complex economic environment. Their direction will depend heavily on how well they manage their loan portfolio, their ability to attract deposits, and their efficiency in controlling costs against the backdrop of prevailing interest rates. A key risk might be a general economic downturn that could impact loan repayments. Conversely, their opportunity lies in a stable or improving economy where they can grow their lending and deposit base. Overall, it appears to be a standard reporting of financial health and strategic communication, with the ultimate success hinging on careful execution of their banking strategy. Alright, that is our quick decoder on Western New England Bancorp's latest filing. What is your take on these types of announcements and what they mean for businesses and the market? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown useful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out, and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community. Linked in the description for more in-depth discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next decode.